Hello everyone and welcome to another Trader Stories podcast here with Hola Prime. Today we're joined by Jeremy Harper from Texas, United States. Now a lot of our viewers may recognize Jeremy because he has been on before and he's come on again to share an update, and he's done so well. Check these stats out. So at the moment Jeremy has he had a $300,000 funded account, which has now been scaled up to $375,000, and he also has another $200,000 funded account with us. He's so far been paid over $30,000 and has over $47,000 upcoming in payouts. So wow, right? Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on again. How have you been, my friend?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, I mean, Jeremy, you've completely blown it out the water. I mean, I know you've got a lot of capital to play with, but still, these percentages are phenomenal. Have you kind of changed anything in recent times in terms of trading, or are you just more focused? What's going on? What's the secret?
Yeah, I don't know. I keep waiting for it to blow up in my face. No, I think for me, I'm still doing the same thing I've always done. As far as the technicals and trading on the charts and stuff. What's really helped me moving into the prop industry the last couple of years is that I think one of the things that I would fall into is I would see these big dollars being made by traders posting on Twitter or whatever. And so I would take bigger risks than I needed to in my accounts trying to get to those dollar amounts. And when I finally started moving into the prop industry where I was able to have bigger accounts, I was able to trade smaller size as far as how much I'm risking. Still making the same type of technical trades, but now able to duplicate it and do it over multiple accounts and stretch it out. And that way, I'm then able to build the accounts from there as opposed to just taking a bigger account size risk. Right now, I typically will do 10% of my total daily draw or max drawdown. 10 or 5% of that is the max I will have on a trade, as opposed to before. Who knows? I was probably doing 30 or 40%, trying to hit the big home run. And I finally kind of slowly started figuring that out. That's the more money I have to play with, eventually the bigger pot size I can grow that to. So
that's really interesting. So essentially, being more in tune with your risk management has made you even more profitable.
Yeah, and you hear that. I mean, you open up any trading book or listen to any podcast, and they always talk about it's about managing risk, right? I think it just takes a long time to. You're a trader. I mean, it's a daily battle of keeping yourself in check and managing risk and making sure that you're not being piggy and going for it all, and risking too much and trying to stick to that plan that you have in place, whatever that plan is.
Yeah, no, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I mean, personally, I think your trading strategy is probably you have a time machine because the percentages you're pulling in, and in a consistent basis, like people can do big percentages. Like if you tasked me to try and make 20% on an account, I could probably do it, but I would need like an element of luck. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You want me to tell you who wins the next World Cup? Because I already know.
If you do, tell me.
Yeah. We'll put it all on that camera. We'll talk offline afterwards. No time machine, man. I wish. But yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I've ran into some good fortune as well. I feel like I'm reading the markets. I'm only trading a few symbols, and really reading those well. When I see the trigger, hitting it pretty hard. And then letting it run as well. Not letting those profits run and not cutting it short. Not messing with the trade. Not to mess with the trade too much. Kind of a set it, forget it type of deal. Seems to work better for me than if I'm in there just messing around with it all the time.
Oh, 100%. Like I can fall into that trap where if I'm on the screens too much, I kind of I just want to get in a trade. And sometimes I'll jump in. I'm like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah,
Like there was
yeah.
nothing there. I don't know what I saw. I don't know why I clicked the entry button, but I did for some reason. It was almost like you got to fight your own hand from clicking that
Yeah,
button
your
sometimes.
your eyes start to see stuff that aren't there. Some that's comes from boredom. Some that if you've got a natural gambling tendency anyway, which I do. So you got to
Me
fight
too.
that off as well. And so I think you said something last time we talked that I found interesting was having an account that lets you YOLO it,
Yeah.
and that kind of satisfies that degenerate itch that we have on the inside of us
Yeah.
sometimes to go. And so I've actually implemented that. I've got I trade for multiple prop firms, and I've got one that I use just for that, where I know, hey, you know what, we're going to see what happens here, and if it blows up, it blows up. But I'm not blowing up 10 accounts
Yeah.
across the board. And so I've actually implemented that strategy that you talked about last time.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
Sure.
And do you feel that helped you as well?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Because like you said, you see, you're sitting there and you're watching it, and you think you know what's going to happen, and no, those accounts never do as well as the other ones. I mean, I
Sure.
can, it's, so I just keep proving to myself that I'm not a great day trader. I think it's more of I would kind of say it's more of a mix between a day trade and a swing, because I'm looking at, and we can look at it in a second, as far as trades I made today, but. Looking at a higher time frame and making decisions based off of that higher time frame, the daily charts, and then going, pulling it down and getting a 5-minute chart and looking at it and starting to trade. But when I in the past have traded equities or futures or anything where I'm just solely trading off that 5-minute chart, I haven't done as well. I just break even at best. So it helps me. I kind of have that kind of combine the two. And then as far as swinging, I may not have the position open for several weeks, as like some of this, if you have swing traders that listen to this, that may be open a little bit longer. I may have a short time frame, but I'm typically not closing it out the same day that I take the position either. It's at least a couple days, 48 hours, and sometimes a week or however long it is. So.
Nice. So as long as the market has like a good trend, you can capitalize on it essentially, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't need it to, if it's going up or if it's going down, as long as it's trending, and, the trade I took today is not typically, I don't normally fight the trend. I'm more the lame-o cliche of trend is your friend kind of deal, and waiting for pullbacks and then jumping in again. But I actually went against the overall trend on the daily just because of, and we can look at that, but just some of the stuff that I was seeing and was thinking, okay, maybe we're gonna have a pullback, so I entered today on some of the accounts.
Nice. And remind me again, what instruments are your favorite to trade?
The Nasdaq, the Qs, the SPY is really the two that I typically. I'll trade the Dow sometimes. On some of my accounts, I think you can trade the Russell. I can't remember. That one, is a little bit more risky. And I'll if I'm brave, I'll mess around with Bitcoin a little bit sometimes too. But then I'll get my butt handed to me, and I got to go back and make it back, in the indexes.
Yeah.
So normally just the SPY and the Qs, and I think it's just helped because that's what I've watched for so long.
Yeah.
I think we talked last time, just chart watching. I've always had the SPY or the Qs pulled up on a chart. Whatever job I've had, I've always had that up throughout the day, the last 15 plus years, 20 years. So you just kind of get a feel for what's coming next because you've seen it play out, a million times over and over. And, you trade the SPY, right?
I used to actually. I used to only trade S&P, and then recently, probably only like a month or two ago, I started going into the NQ, the Nasdaq, and oh man, I fell in love. I'm
Nice.
all about NQ now.
Okay.
I wouldn't even touch the S&P. It just moves so little.
Hey, if it's
Now I'm
working.
like NQ all day.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, you can change as well, but it suits my strategy more because I'm a scalper.
Okay.
I basically find that I can get the same results with the NAS, but in like half the time because it moves just how much it moves,
Yeah, sure.
It's a lot more quicker, and it respects levels really well. So I was
It
like,
does.
oh,
It
okay.
does.
I mean, I only got into the the S&P just because that was kind of the go-to product
Sure.
when you do futures. It's
Yeah.
almost like the Euro US dollar
Yeah.
forex. Do you know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah. It's
everyone knows it.
OTS
Yeah, yeah.
in the futures world anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just stuck with it, and then I never actually bothered to look at anything else. And then one day I was like, let me have a look at the Nasdaq, and I was like, wow, why didn't I do
Yeah.
this sooner? This is great. But anyway,
Nice.
enough about me and my trading. I would love to see some of those trades you because the Nasdaq had a wicked sell-off today,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
a little bit of a bounce up. So
Yeah.
I'm interested how you played it.
Okay.
Is it possible you can pull up your
Yeah.
charts and
Yeah. Let me get in here. Okay. So we were talking about the Qs. And this is a daily chart of the Qs with a low at, when did we hit a low? Back here, April, early April, April 7th. This is right here on this level right here. And then as you can see, the thing is just grinded and grinded and grinded up and up and up. My charts, if you're wondering, I don't keep a whole lot on my charts. This green moving average is the 20 MA. I've got a 50 MA and a 200 MA, and that's really all I have on my daily charts. I have volume down here as well, but that's it. So I've been watching the Qs. As you can see, it follows that 20 MA pretty well. Bounces typically when it has got all the way up till finally broke that on July, early August, right here on this candle. We saw it kind of break through, not for long, pop back up, finally came down to the 50 MA, grinded up a little bit, came back to the 50 MA, grinded up again. And so I actually was short on the 23rd on Tuesday, last Tuesday, expecting it to come down and test the 50 MA again, the Qs. So I was short here this day and this day, made some money, gave a little bit back as it bounced right here when it hit that 20 MA, which I kind of expected it might. Went up again today when it put in the red candle yesterday, even though it's not the best candle. See if I can get a little bit wider. Not the best candle, that hangman right there. I went in today thinking I'm going to try short again. If we get an opportunity, if something triggers on the intraday chart, I'm going to look to go short, and I'm going to put my stop, this red line right here. And these are just lines I put in just because I'm not the brightest guy in the world, so I need visuals to keep me in check with where I'm at on certain things. So that red line is just where I knew I wanted to put my stop. And anytime I go into a trade, I'm always looking. The first thing I'm looking for is where do I want my stop at. I'm not looking for targets. I'm looking for stops. Like where do I want to be out if this doesn't go my direction, and then I build it from there. Okay, if that's where my stop is, where's my target, and I want my target to be at least 3 times whatever my risk is on that, and I kind of play that out before I enter any trade. I always have that, either on paper or I put it in the actual trading platform of a stop loss and a target on there as well.
Yep.
So anyway, that was I was expecting it. I was thinking, okay, we're gonna break. I don't listen to the news much. I keep CNBC off for the most part just because I feel like you said, it kind of triggers. I start seeing things I shouldn't see. I hear some analysts talk about something that's going to happen, and so I normally will keep the news off. I know where some of the bigger events, FOMC, and certain things are going to happen certain days, but it's hard not to see everything going on with the U.S. government shutdown, just some of the volatility going on with that. And so it was kind of a combination of, it's been a while since we tested that 200 or that 50 MA, had grinded up and expecting at least a pullback to here, plus the combination of the news and going into the weekend. It was Friday. A lot of times you see a sell off on Fridays, so that was the game plan going into today. So we'll pull up. So that's the daily chart. Let's pull up the 5-minute chart. So this is where we opened today, and I'm not looking at I'm just looking at the Qs, not the CFDs. So opened up right here on this candle, kind of traded sideways. The first, these are 5-minute candles, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then broke. What this orange line is the VWAP, the volume weighted average price. That and the nine EMA is really the only thing I keep on my intraday charts. Those two. Sometimes I'll put a 20 on there, but the main one I'm using is the VWAP when I'm using the intraday charts. I've just found, for me, it seems to be a real line in the sand. It seems to be a level that so many traders are watching and institutions are watching, and so it's a pretty powerful. When it breaks below, a lot of times if I'm looking to get short in this particular instance, when it breaks low, that's an area I'm looking for. I actually didn't take it though. It broke and kind of started dropping. It had 3-4 big candles right here. What time is it at? So it's about 10:10 a.m. Pull down right here. So what I did is I waited for it to pull back into this VWAP area, and that's like, okay, here's the spot. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna short, and then I'm gonna have my stop up here, which I'd already predestined over here on the daily. It's gonna be up here above the candle of yesterday. So I already knew where my stop was gonna be. So my stop was up there around 608, and I was gonna short right here. Well, it kind of started to pull down for me, and then I caught heat. It started going up against me right up here, and I was early. Well, I like to say early. That's what I like to say. It makes me feel better when I'm wrong. I just say I'm early. So, so it actually, when it came back over the VWAP, I was like, oh shoot, this thing may end up going to take me out, but I'm gonna just let it ride. I'm not gonna cut it. And keep my stop loss, and then eventually, after kind of bounced a couple times, and then right around 1 o'clock, you had a massive candle down. Pulled back up here. I shorted some more in some other accounts that I have, and then really grinded down all the way to about 2 o'clock. About an hour left in the trading day. It tried to make a push up, and then kind of ended, right here at this 603 level. So that's typically what I'm looking at on that. Now we're trading, with Ola, we're trading CFDs, and so I'll pull up the chart over here if you guys can see this, one of my accounts, and then just basically use the numbers that CFD numbers are using. So even though it's still the Nasdaq, my stop loss was at 25,002. Nice round number.
Jeremy, I don't think it's still the same screen. I don't
Okay,
think
how about this?
switched. Oh yeah, now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So here's the trading platform with Hola Prime, and so I will, once I know, okay, I want to get in. This is where I want to get in, and then this is where I compute the numbers, and I come over here. The stop we know is going to be at the top, so it's 25,000. Where's my stop at? 25,003, and then I think I shorted right here at 24,956 and 24,909. I took, let me move you around a little bit so I can see. I took 15 contracts short, and then did another 10 on that pullback. And so I'm still live on those. Normally, I will, let me pull up if I can. I don't know if it will let me pull it up over here. Not since the market's closed. I don't think it will. But I'll go ahead, and I typically will risk on this particular account, between 2,000 and 3,000 on a trade. Normally what I'll do is once it gets to 1-to-1 and I'm up 3,000, I'll go ahead and move my stop to break even, and then let it ride. I don't know how long I'm going to let it ride. I think I caught a good entry. I'm hoping. See it now?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay. I think I figured this thing out. I told you I wasn't the brightest guy. So anybody that's listening to this and think you got to be a brilliant genius to trade, I'm perfect proof right here that you don't, because I can't even figure out how to work this freaking platform to share my screen. So you guys are good. Just stick with it, and you're going to be okay. But anyway, so this is what I'm expecting, or this is what I'm hoping. Who knows? I mean, Trump may fire off a tweet this weekend, and I wake up and the market blows up, and has taken off all money. You never know. But I feel like from the technicals that we're due for a little pullback here, at least to this 200 MA, or at least to this area right here, where this looks like an old resistance. Looks like it hit, came back, hit again, popped up a little bit, came back, hit. So this area right here, this 585 on the Qs, And by the time it pulls back, will probably coincide with this 50 MA. Will have creeped up a little bit as well. So now you got like a sandwich of confluence right there of an old resistance area being support plus an MA that everybody's watching. A lot of people that are short are going to be taking profits there. People that are looking to get long, they're going to be buying there. And so I expect you'll probably hit some resistance. Now, if it breaks that 50 MA, then it could get crazy. We have a ways down, so I'm not expecting to do that. So that's kind of what I'm holding on to. And we'll see as we get into next week what what it unfolds for us. But so that's what I took today in my accounts. I took the Q short.
So just what is your actual kind of entry requirements? Like, what do you look for in order to actually enter a trade?
So I'm looking. Well, yeah, I guess it's really just looking for looking on the daily chart of which direction I'm feeling like I want to be. Like I'm going back to the daily right here. All through here, I've been long, throughout the last few weeks, as I'm sure most people have. And so what I love on days when I'm expecting to be long and it gaps down, the market gaps down, is being able to pull up the 5-minute chart. This gaps down and waiting for it to pull up over the VWAP and then joining long again and just kind of riding the wave that way. And so right. I'm really just making my decisions of which direction I want to be based off the daily, and then using that 5-minute chart to try to time the entry, typically putting the stop at the high or the low of that particular day. In this case, it's the last 2 days where the stop is. Yesterday and today I had to stop above the high of both of these days because they're so close together. But that's really it.
I love how simple it is, and it kind of reminds me of a guy I knew who had, again, this, he wasn't even a trader. I mean, he is technically a trader, but he wasn't he never studied anything. He never kind of studied trading. He just took the most simplistic way of looking at the market, and he did very similar. Like he only did the daily chart, number one. He didn't even look at a lower time frame. Sure. He had a moving average. I don't know which period moving average, but he had some moving average on there. And all you looked for is, like, for example, on the screen, the daily moving average, the 20 moving average you have.
Right here.
If you look at number 23, I think the 23rd, there's a little bullish candle that just kind of dips below the moving average, but kind of the body is above it. He would look for that. That's all he would look for.
Wow.
And at the end of that candle, he would enter a buy in that case, right? And he would put his stop below the candle.
Yeah.
And he would, target 1 to, I can't remember again, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, whatever it might be. Right. And he was smashing it, man. Yes, he took a trade probably like once a week, at most. Yeah. But it's all right. He had a full-time job. He just, 10 o'clock, he was in the UK, so 10 p.m. for us, he would just go through all the different pairs, look for that exact setup. Yeah. If he didn't find anything, all right, no problem, look tomorrow. If he found any instrument that had that setup, he would enter right there and then work out his risk, all that, and then leave it. And then the next day, just kind of monitor it, has it, just allow it to run. And it kind of blew my mind, because I was like, damn it, here I am looking at all these digits and stressing myself, and then he just comes along with the most simplistic way of looking at the market and is smashing it. And it's and you're that person.
It was always like that. I mean, I was the one that had all sorts of crap on my charts, and if it works for somebody, it works for somebody. But I mean, I had everything you could possibly imagine, and all I felt like it did for me is just trigger a bunch of entries when I'm already a compulsive, want to jump in anyway. Being able to pull the stuff off the charts, look at the daily, make my decisions off that daily, and then I do probably trade more than your friend does, in that I am using the 5-minute chart, just because I have a feel for this is, I don't have the dailies. When I told you I've had the charts pulled up the last 15 years. And this is TC2000, if anybody's want to know, is the software that I use. and I've always used, but I've always had the 5-minute chart pulled up. And so once I kind of identify it on the daily, then I know what I'm looking for on the 5-minute chart, kind of get a feel for, okay, I've seen this play out right here. We're about to get a drop. If we're going to do it, let's do it. Let's do it heavy. You know where your stop's going to be. Throw that stop on there, pound it hard. And then, if you're wrong, you're wrong, but you know exactly how much, I know exactly how much I'm going to lose on every trade. Let me share, can I share something else with you real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me see if I can. If I can figure out how to do it. What, are you still seeing my screen?
Yeah, still seeing TC 2000.
Okay, so let me see if I can do this. 1 second. A Word document that I created. Okay, well, we won't worry about it, but I can kind of just look at it and tell you.
Sure.
And we talked about this last time, but this is the biggest thing that I think has helped me more than anything else is the risk reward. And what for those that might be new to that, I'm going to risk one for a reward of 3 every time, and I'm going to do that because if I do that over and over and over and over, the numbers are going to work out in my favor over a number of trades. And so for that 1 to 3 for me on a lot of my accounts will be, I'm going to risk 1,000 for 3,000. And I'm going to do that every single time. And I'm not going to mess with it. Like when the trade started going against me today, obviously you're tempted, hey, let's just cut losses and go. I'm down $700. Don't let it hit the 1,000. But I've learned if you kind of let it play out, eventually those numbers work in your favor if you keep that risk reward the same. And so I didn't touch it, and fortunately it did crack and begin to fall for me today. The hard part about that is when you have consecutive losses in a row. So say I'm risking $1,000 per trade, and on my first trade I lose 1,000, and then the next day I take trade number 2 and I lose 1,000, and I take trade number 3 the next day and I lose 1,000. Now the psychology behind it is your everything's going through your head like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, my strategy's messed up, this indicator's not working, all these things go through your head. So on day 4, when you do have that trade that starts to go your way, you're already down 3,000 from the first 3 trades, you're up about $800, and it starts to go against you a little bit, and you take your profit. Now, I'm gonna take my $1,000. At least now I'm only down 2 if I take if I take 1,000 off the table. Well, the problem is the next 2 trades you lose again, trade 5, trade 6. And so now you're down, $5,000, and you're ready just to completely blow up. Then you start taking crazy risk, all sorts of, because you want to make it up. The market owes you, and so you start to begin to take on risks that you shouldn't be taking, as opposed to sticking to that 1 to 3. And the truth is, if at a 1 to 3, if I had 10 trades and I lost 7 of them, I was only a 30% winner. But I was doing $1,000 risk for $3,000 reward. Those 3 trades is $9,000. The 7 that I lost is $7,000. I'm net positive plus $2,000 for the 2 weeks that I traded. And so that was something. Once that really clicked and came home, and I trusted my strategy, and I just kept doing the same thing over and over and over without failure. Not without failure, I fail all the time, but doing the same thing as far as the numbers and putting the numbers in your favor. Eventually, over a series of trades, whether that's 10 or 20 or 100 or 200 trades, the numbers work out if you let it run and do its thing. But that's very, very hard when you start having. It's easy to follow your rules when you're doing well and you're banging it, knocking it out of the park. Where it's hard is when you have multiple trades go against you, sticking to your rules and sticking to the same lot size or whatever. So I wish I could have shared that with you, but I couldn't seem to get it to work. But anyway, so that to me, I think, is where your edge is for me as a trader.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, still to this day, if I have a little losing streak, I have to truly fight myself to stop myself from doing that. Mm-hmm. And I'm 10 plus years in the market. So, it is a constant battle. And I know exactly what you're saying, because, I mean, it wasn't even probably that long ago. I think I had a losing streak, and I made it worse because I allowed my emotions to take over. And then it was only after I was like, I'm such an idiot. I knew that. I know it. Like, sure. You don't have to tell me it. I know it. But still, in that moment, for whatever reason, I allowed it to take
Yeah.
control, and I don't think you ever truly get over that.
Yeah, I think people say they do, they're lying.
Yeah,
I think traders still, even the best traders in the world, probably still do it where they're like, you know what,
yeah,
screw that. You know, this owes me. It's going to crack this time, or it's going to take off. You know, it's about to go parabolic. I'm going all the way. I'm going big size, and
that's it.
you know how that ends up. Turns around and goes against you, and now you made the hole even bigger than what it was. I think they also do. I just think you get a little bit better at maybe not doing it as frequently because you remember the
Yeah,
pain of what it felt like when you're laying
yeah.
there in bed at night, like crap, I can't believe I did that.
You got to be
So.
reminded of the pain once in a while,
Oh my
and that
gosh,
keeps
yeah,
us
write it
sharp.
down, put it on your monitor. You can put it everywhere. You still do it. You
Yeah,
still, you pretend like you don't see that note, or pretend like this is going to be the time that it's different, or whatever. However, you convince yourself to go ahead and push the buttons and click and
yeah.
enter that trade. So, I think it's a constant battle, but you get better at it.
I mean, even I like what you said. Like even the pros, even the institutional guys, they would do it. But the reason they actually have it easier than us, because they have a risk management on the trading floor. And if
Right,
they
right.
if they're going to start doing that, the guy, whoever's the risk manager, say, nope, you're done for the day.
Yeah,
Out you
yeah.
go. We'll
Go get some
can you off
coffee.
right there.
Yeah,
Exactly. So they
yeah,
physically cannot do
yeah,
it, right? Because
yeah,
they're
yeah.
forced not to. We as retail traders, there's no one here. If it's all down to me, right? I mean, it would. I think it would be more profitable in a weird way if I just hired someone to be my risk
You know, I thought,
manager to kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
watch
yeah.
over me.
Right. No, yeah, I've thought about that too. As I've even looked at that in the past when I used to trade futures. I was like, man, I'm trying to find a software that would put in my own risk parameters that would keep me from keep me from myself,
Yeah,
and so, but you're right. You have nobody looking, and you have an infinite amount of money you can make, as well as like it's not infinite that you can lose. Eventually, you hit bottom. But I mean, it's there are no rules to this game at all. You're making your own set of rules, and that's what makes it extremely difficult especially when you're talking about money and as emotional as people are about money.
yeah, yeah,
And so again, that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. I think what has really helped me is spread out that risk. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I mean, I've probably got like 15 accounts,
yeah.
and just spread it out, doing the same thing over, a series of accounts, making the same trades, but then just taking a smaller percentage risk within each account, and the dollars end up, adding up that way.
Oh,
So,
it's crazy. It's like even when you have a bad losing day. Not so much for you because you're more of a swing trader, but like if someone is a bit more of a scalper style trader and you have a bit of a losing streak and you're down, let's say $1,000 or whatever, like I would say probably walk away at that moment, lock yourself out, come back tomorrow. But if you have to trade for whatever reason, you don't have to, but I don't know, then the problem I found with a lot of people and myself is the next trade I take in, I'm trying to make the whole loss back in one trade,
hmm
right?
hmm
When the market would have given me $400, I'm not happy. I need to make 1,000 because that's what I'm down.
I
And
need the
then it goes
whole.
against me, and now I'm
Right,
down 1,200. And I'm
right,
like, oh
right,
shit. Do you know
right,
what I mean?
right,
And
right.
you make it
Yeah,
worse and worse because
yeah.
you don't chip away at it.
You were trying to get it all back because it owed you,
Yeah,
and you didn't want to go home with that feeling in your stomach of I lost money today. I want to go home thinking I either broke even or I made a little bit of money, and so you do that, and I think that's where you have for me anyway the preset risk reward, where I know when I'm 3 or 4 times up on what I'm risking, whether that's if I'm risking that 1,000 and I'm up 3,000 or 4,000, that I'm typically going to take profit there. And I know that I can always re-enter at another time, but sticking to that, even though I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't really want to take profit because it looks like this thing is about to blow. I've done exactly what you said enough where I didn't, and then eventually, reverses, comes back, stops me out either break even or stops me out for a loss. I'm like, well, crap. Now I just completely. So I've tried to get better at taking profits as well when it hits my target, not just randomly taking profits, but taking profits at that level and not saying, I think it's going to go higher. Let's let it ride a little bit longer, and doing more of I can re-enter. If it does go
yeah.
up, fine. Let it pull back to a certain level, and then let's re-enter again and see
That's
what we
it.
can do here. So,
That's
and that's
it.
helped. That's helped me accumulate profits in my accounts and build it that way.
Oh, 100%. And I think also having good luck when you do something that you shouldn't be doing is probably the worst thing.
Oh, yeah,
Because say
yeah,
you're down 1,000 and you now make up that 1,000
yeah,
because
yeah.
there was a bit of good luck involved. Now next time you're down 1,000, you're gonna be like, oh, I did it last time. I made it up. I'm gonna do it again, and then you blow the account, and then you're like, ah,
And I think that's every trader that starts out. I mean, that was my story. When I opened a brokerage account with some, I can't remember what it was back in the day because somebody said they were making money on some penny stock or whatever. And so I went in, looked at the Yahoo message board back when that was a thing, and bought everything. I just pushed all the chips in, and it blew up the next day, and I made a ton of money. And I was like, why have I not been doing this the whole time? This is easy. I
yeah,
think I shared this last time, and then of course you know how that story ends. It's you find out it's not. You begin to find out what you don't know, and which is a lot. And so yeah, I think that's the worst is when it actually you do something wrong, you break your rules, and it works because you're going to do it again,
yeah.
and eventually it only works until it doesn't, and it eventually catches up with you, and it's typically worse than when you started out. So.
Definitely. I think we should invent a device. You know those ab things you can buy that electrocute you. Every time you break your rules, you just get a nasty shock.
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
like an electric dog collar or
I'm sure we
something.
could patent something like that for traders, and it just gives you a nice jolt through.
Hey, I would use it. I would use it
Yeah, I
if it
know. Well,
helps
then
me,
some of
man.
it, we'd figure out how to like deactivate the device and then log back on to our through our phone. And, I don't know. We would find a way around it. But yeah, it's I think it's always like I said, I think it's always something you just have to continue to reevaluate. Look at the end of the week. What did I do good? What did I do wrong? What I want to do moving and then preparing at night.
Yeah,
The night before the day. Don't just jump straight in, but kind of have a game plan. What am I wanting to see tomorrow if this happens? What am I going to do if this happens? What am I going to do? Am I going to sit on my hands, or is this when we're going to go large? And
yeah.
that's going to help me just planning and kind of have an idea before I sit down in front of the monitors and go for it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it's good for traders to stop, to kind of get rid of the idea that you have to finish green on the day. A day is nothing special. It doesn't, there's nothing magical about one day. A month, I get it. You want to end on a green month, that makes sense, right? Because all your bills come out once a
Yeah.
month, and a month is kind of makes sense, right? But a day, who cares? If you have a losing day, it's not a big deal. And I think what helped me was kind of the moment I realized that it doesn't have to be every day. As long as it's every month, I'm
Right.
happy. Right?
Right.
Even every week, I don't really care. As long as at the month, at the end, and so I implemented a kind of risk management where it's essentially 1-to-1, right? So on any day, I'll either make 1,000 or I lose 1,000, whichever one comes first. And once it gets hit, that's it, done, finished. Now, if
Okay.
I don't have to hit those targets. Like if for whatever reason the market is, there's no opportunity or whatever, then obviously, if I'm only up 200, I'm up 200, great,
Right.
but essentially, so all I need is at least over 50% winning days,
Right.
which I can happily do because on average, I probably have about 2 losing days a month. And as
Oh
long as I
wow.
stick to that, I'm fine.
Oh, you're
Do you know what
golden.
I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I bet I would say so your winning percentage is going to be a whole lot higher than mine. I would say I'm pulling up my dashboard right now to see what is it on this
but your
dashboard.
wins are 1-to-3. See, mine on average
Correct.
are 1-to-1.
Right. So typically my winning percentage is around 35 to 40% on my accounts. But like you said, if you got the risk reward in your favor, it works that way too. If you are gonna
Yeah.
be 1-to-1, as long as you're higher than 50%, 55 or
Yeah.
60%, or what you on 2 days a month, which is great, then you're gonna make money. You just got to
Yeah.
figure it
Yeah.
out. I think just figure out what temperament you have, what works best for your psychology that helps you helps you battle everything we've been talking about, and then kind of going from there. And for me, it's kind of been that combination of a swing/day trading, somewhere in the middle there. Not a complete just swing trader where I'm looking at the daily charts because that's a little boring for me. I like to get in there on the day, during the day too. but not strictly just making and closing all my positions same day, letting them ride a few days. And that I feel like I do a little bit better that way.
Absolutely. And if I correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember from last time we spoke, you had your own business as well. It was like a gym or something. It was
Yeah, yeah, some
right.
fitness,
Yeah,
yeah, some
yeah,
fitness gyms that
fitness.
we
Yeah,
have. Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're still running that whilst day trading as well.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, and they're to the point now where they kind of, they're fully staffed and they've been up and running. So
Nice.
I can do everything from my computers here, and put out fires and take phone calls and stuff like that. But if I did have, and that's something I get people that will ask me all the time, will teach me, can you teach me? And I'm just honest. So I don't really know how to teach someone to
Yeah,
trade. Like
I get it.
I know
Yeah,
what books I can tell you to go read, and I know there's a few online courses that I don't think are completely full of it, that are decent, that are good, that you can learn some technicals and stuff. But it goes back to, for me, I always tell them, and not a man has ever done this, but I always tell them to start watching the charts throughout the day. Just start putting in the screen time,
yes,
and train your eyes to see what you're seeing. And if you can't do that, you are working a full-time job. There's plenty of software programs that will let you put the day's price action on replay and watch it. I mean, if it's that important to you, do that. I've always made it a point where I've had a job, whether I was selling insurance or doing investments or, whatever job. I've taken a job as a broker before, just so that I could have daily charts open so I could watch. And so that
amazing.
I've been very blessed to be able to have those jobs until now I don't need those jobs anymore. But that's I feel like what's attributed to the success I've had is that I've just seen it play out so many times and watched
Yeah,
it, that you kind of just get a feel for what's coming next. Doesn't happen every time, obviously, but more times than not, it does. And if you put those numbers in your favor, you're going to make some money. So
yeah,
that's what I tell people that are wanting to get into it, is to start watching the charts. But I think most of them want a quick fix. They want it to happen
this
overnight.
is it.
They're told by some trading program that they took, learn how to day trade in 30 days, and man, it just doesn't work like that. Anybody that's listening, it can be done. Obviously, you've seen I'm not the brightest guy in the world. It can be learned. It can be done. You just got to put in the work. I mean, it does take time. It's taken me a long time. To battle the demons of making stupid decisions and blowing up accounts and going back to the drawing board and doing that over and over, and just but it can be done. It definitely can be done. I hate it when I hear people
100%.
let's talk about trading, and they'll go on there and say, well, technicals don't work. You can't make any money trading technicals, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's like, well, no, you can. Just because you can't do it doesn't mean it can't
Yeah.
be done. It absolutely can be done.
Well,
And
everyone's an expert, right? Online.
especially on TV.
Everyone's an expert.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that was when I first learned how full of crap people were, because I took a job as a broker. I took a job as a broker at a place here in Dallas, and our niche was finding just equities is mainly what people traded, and they were junk stocks that had gone parabolic, and people were wanting to short these stocks that had just shot to the moon. And so we were able to locate hard to borrow stocks for them. That was kind of so I was on the phone all day long, and just filling people's accounts with these stocks. Well, I would see traders, because I could see their accounts, that were educators, and they were horrible traders. Horrible. They would blow up account after account. Man, it's like you're a great marketer and you've sold all this, but you
Oh
can't trade
yeah,
for lit, because I can see it right here. You're lying. And
yeah,
that's when I learned. There's definitely a difference between traders and educators, and if you can find somebody that's really good at doing both, then go for it. But those are sometimes hard to find. But there are some good ones out
yeah,
there. I'm not crapping on all of them. There are some. I've taken some, and I'm very fortunate to have learned what I've learned. And I still pay for services for a guy that I've followed for years, who's a master swing trader who trades equities, and I follow him, and just for him, just to kind of get another I guess another point of view of what he feel like, where the market's going, and he's an older guy and he's been doing it forever, and I've just learned so much from just listening to him and watching how patient he is. And
yeah.
so I think there are great mentors to be found out there. You just got to make sure you fight the right one.
Yeah, definitely, and it's all mindset. We always say this every interview you've done. Every person has one thing in common. They have a good, disciplined mindset. That's
Mhm.
what it comes down to. I mean, the way you trade is such a simple strategy, right? If you told a beginner trader, explained it, they'll be like, "Ah, I can see this on YouTube."
Yeah.
This is like
Right. You didn't show me
this is
anything new.
old school stuff.
I get
Where's
it.
where's
No,
the
I do.
algorithm? Where's the AI?
I know. I
But
mean,
no,
I wish
man.
I had that magic indicator. Like, yeah, when it hits this line and crosses here, 75% of the time we're in the money, and I've never found that. The moving averages
Yeah,
work well for me.
tried and
They're not
tested.
always line in the sand, but yeah, yeah. I wish I had
Yeah.
that I could pass along. Be like, guys, if you do this, you'll be golden. But
Because everyone's looking for that sexy strategy,
yeah, yeah,
but and it's like that picking stocks as well. I mean, if you only pick the sexy stocks, Tesla, Amazon, all right, there's fair enough you can make money on it, but it's the ones that are usually quite boring, the middleman, the weird, the people who build the batteries for Tesla, or like, they're kind of in some sort of supply chain. Those are the ones you want to be kind of
yeah.
diversifying, picking up on,
Sure.
but yeah, and it's the same with picking a strategy. If it, there's so much out there. I'm not saying which ones work and which ones don't. We haven't tried pretty much any of them, right? But keep it simple. That's
Yeah,
number one. Keep it. Don't
yeah,
confuse yourself on the charts, because then you don't know what you're doing. Whether you're shorting, buying, selling, whatever, it doesn't matter. You just have no
sure.
clue what's going on because you're confused.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I'd love to move on really quick.
Yeah,
Talk
sure.
about Hola Prime.
Okay.
So you mentioned earlier, you're trading with a bunch of prop firms, which is awesome, by the way. Hola Prime included. I'm not going to ask you which one's your favorite prop firm because I'm sure others are probably watching. We're not going to do that. But how's Hola Prime been in as a prop firm compared to the
Sure.
competition that you're used to as well?
I'm glad you asked that because I was about to see if we could transition into that. I think, like you said, I've had probably 15 different firms that I've traded with, on and off. And, I'm not BSing everybody that's listening. I mean, Ola Prime is one of my favorite. I've never had any issues with being paid out. It's always been fast. Anytime I've had a question, people have taken care of what needs to be taken care of. I'm not being paid to say this. Sam can testify to that. It really is. I've enjoyed. I've told people about this particular firm over others. I mean, there are two firms in the last week for me that didn't pay me out and just closed my account as opposed to paying me out. And unfortunately that happens in this industry. I'm not going to throw
Yeah.
names out there. It sounds like bark trading, you can edit that out if you want. But dealing with that's there, where they obviously don't have the infrastructure in place
Yeah.
to either copy trades. They're profitable traders, and all of their revenue is strictly coming from failed challenges and stuff. And so they have no incentive for you to do well. And I've never experienced that with Ola Prime.
Yeah.
Always been paid out. And so the rules. I mean, I've traded. There's so many rules with some of the other firms. A lot of consistency rules you really have to pay attention to. Where I've gotten, I go for a withdrawal and I'm like, okay, well, my highest profitable trade was 8,000, and it can only be 30% of the total. So now I gotta build the account up to 20 grand before I can take the withdrawal. There's just a lot of other stuff, which is fine. It's their rules and their money. That's fine. But Ola Prime has been the most free trading, and it's the one I've made the most money with. And I think it's because of the freedom too. I'm not constantly like, oh, do I need to close out
Yeah.
this trade because my profit's gonna be too high on this particular trade. I need it to be under this dollar amount. To me, that's not trading. And I get why they have the all or none, gambling type of rules in there because they're trying to manage risk as well. But I think a lot of times it feels like they're put in place to limit the trader or have them fail a challenge,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And you see a lot of that in the industry. At least in my 3.5, 4 years, I've been kind of messing around in the prop industry. There are a lot of, but there are some really good ones out there too. And Hola Prime
Oh,
is
100%.
top of the list.
Yeah.
Top of the list. You guys have been great for
That's
sure.
awesome to hear. Really, really
Yeah.
good to hear. And you hit the nail on the head there. There are firms out there, again, not going to mention names, but there are firms out there that, um, I mean, there's two types of prop firms. There's the prop firms who do copy trade.
Hmm.
When a client like yourself is doing really well, believe me, we copy trade. Do you know what I mean? I mean, your stats are tried and tested and proven, right? And then there's ones where that don't do that at all, and their income is purely based on you failing. And those are the ones that will more likely, if you make too much money, well, it's not good for our P&L. We'll just make up some bogus rule of why we can't pay you
Yeah,
out.
I mean, that's
And
exactly right. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's basically you making money is hits their bottom line, and their bottom line
yeah,
is the revenue they're making is off of failed challenges. Any money that you make is
yeah,
comes out of their pocket, and so they're not happy about. They're not excited when you make that withdrawal request. And I had one 2 weeks ago. It was going to be my first withdrawal with them. Not take that back. They did pay me one pay for about 5,000. Went to make my second withdrawal. It was like it right at about 12,000, and they declined it and closed my accounts and sent me a certificate if I wanted to start a new evaluation. And so I began to, ask them why. And I said, well, because you made a trade within, I think it was within a major news event. Well, I don't pay. I mean, I pay attention when the FOMC is going to be coming out, when Jerome Powell is going to be speaking, when the major ones. I'm not looking at every single event on the calendar. If I did, and I'm not a day trader, so if I did happen to open a swing trade within 5 minutes of this particular whatever they were talking about, okay, I didn't mean to, and so I told him, I said, okay, that's your rules, that's fine. I made 4,000 on that trade. Go ahead and pull that off.
yeah,
I'm fine with that. Pay me the 8. Of that. Apparently, I did by your rules, and they said, well, that 4,000. This is what they said. They go, the 4,000 that you made. Well, so now it actually would have put you in the daily loss. You would hit your daily loss limit of 4,000. And I was like, well, explain that to me, because the trade obviously didn't go against me, so it wouldn't have knocked me out.
no,
So why are you not just taking the 4,000 away, but now you're double dipping and saying, oh, we're going to count that. That was their reasoning. And I say all that to say is there's a lot of stuff like that out there. And so I tell people, read the reviews, talk to people. Don't read just the 5-star reviews where the firm has been begging for, positive reviews on Trustpilot or something like that. Go read the 1-stars. And typically you'll see the difference. You'll see the 1-stars are normally traders, profitable traders, who will give you very specific scenarios, as I just gave you, of why they didn't get paid out. And all the ones that are the 5-stars are normally someone that has just started their evaluation, has never even been paid anything. They're not profitable. They haven't made any money. Look through some of that stuff too, because that is heartbreaking. That does suck. You spend that time.
yeah.
You put the money into the evaluation, and then for them to be able to come back and just say, nah, that broke a rule, and there's really not a whole lot you can do about it. That sucks. And so I normally try to, I'm kind of weeded out a lot of the ones I'm using, and just using the ones I know that have already paid me in the past. Hola Prime, obviously, being one of them, or ones that use live funds, or ones that I know are probably copying trades and that they're minimizing their risk by me making money. So it's good for me. And it's good for them, and sticking with those, because the other ones are just going to go away. I'm assuming they can't. That business model can't last forever, where they keep doing that. Eventually, they're going to fold. And we've seen that. You've seen that a couple years
It's
ago.
happened many
We
times.
saw a bunch of them fold.
Yeah, exactly. And full transparency, like Ola Prime, we do make money from failed challenges, of course. That
Sure.
is an income stream. Like that's not but it's just one of two, really. Copy trading's obviously the second.
Right.
And
Right.
but there are like firms that just do that 100% because they
That's all
know
they do.
the majority of traders most likely will fail a challenge, and
Yeah.
that is a statistical truth.
Right.
There's no point
Oh, I-
sugarcoating it.
Yeah, I've got spreadsheets
And
full of failed challenges. So yeah. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, you're gonna sell
so
those.
it's a good business model, but then all it takes is a trader like yourself who's capable of making how much have you made? 40 plus 30, 70 something thousand, and now that firm's in trouble, so they have to do something to kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
stop you from getting your money, essentially. And that's where the problems occur. If you're an unprofitable trader, you wouldn't even know you're trading with
No.
a bad firm.
Right.
Or
Right.
if you're just
Right.
about profitable, you
You're
wouldn't
never
know,
trying to
because you'll get the
get paid
small
good.
payments. But it's guys like you that are testament to, that really kind of show and expose the true prop firms to the, I call
Yeah.
them fake prop firms.
Yeah. Ask questions. Find out. I don't have a problem. People are like, well, you don't want people copying your trades. I don't. What do you care? I mean, I'm such a small trader. Somebody copying my trades is not gonna move the cues or the spy. It's like, who cares? But knowing that they're willing to do that if I've showed consistency and profitability, because then I just, okay, well, that makes me, then I know that I'm going to get paid because they're going to get paid as well if I'm doing well too. But yeah, the ones that you can tell usually that their sole revenue stream is just the failed challenges. They don't have the infrastructure in place to copy trades and all that. Man, run from those. It's
Yeah.
just it's a lot of work, and then you don't end up getting paid out. And it's unfortunate that it's out there, but it's out there. But
Yeah.
all that said, I kind of went down a negative road. I loved you guys. You guys have been great to me, and I look forward to continue trading with you guys, and as long as you'll keep me around.
No, absolutely. It's traders like you that, because obviously, look, we have to be very careful with who we copy. We can't just copy anyone who passes an evaluation, because there could have been an element of luck involved,
Sure.
right? There has to be some kind of data that proves a level of consistency, and then we kind of figure out, right, it's not me who does this, obviously, but it's a team
Sure.
who are way smarter than I'll ever be, who kind of figure all this stuff out, right?
Both of us together, I'm sure.
And yeah. And they handle all the risk side of it. So
Right.
without traders like you on our platform, and it doesn't necessarily mean we'll copy every trade you take, because if you take a trade that our then algorithm will flag up as potentially probably doesn't fall under our criteria of whatever risk, then but regardless, because we have many traders like yourself who are very consistent and have that, we have plenty of very good trades to choose from, and we don't need to take everyone's trade.
No.
We just need to take a few. Do you know what I mean? On much larger capital to basically cover all your profits, and also some for us as well. So, and that's so you're a vital part of the business model, essentially. So absolutely, please stay. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep making excellent decisions. Keep being disciplined. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. Keep charging that time machine, and
Yeah, I got it plugged in over here. So
we'll keep paying you out. And it's a win-win situation for both of us, and that's the
I
beauty of
appreciate
it.
that.
But Jeremy, we'll cut it there. It's
Okay.
been about an hour, which was an awesome interview. Thank you again so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you again, and taking the time to speak to me as well, and being an all-round great guy as well. It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me anytime.
Thank you, Jeremy. And to all the viewers, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy this video, go ahead, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, turn on channel notifications, follow us on Discord, and also make sure to tune in to Hola Prime TV every Monday to Friday, every trading day, where myself and our other trading coaches break down the live markets, take live trades, and interact with all our viewers. So it's well worth tuning in if you haven't already. But apart from that, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care.
Hola Prime, trade with transparency.